Hello, I am Dr. Boykins Winrow, animal scientist here at Tennessee State University. Welcome to Raising Exotic Animals. What is a good fit for Tennessee? Of course, when we talk business, profitability is very near the top. When we look at Tennessee, there are several breeds and animals to choose from. Hopefully, you guessed the most profitable in Tennessee. Our choices: Dexter cattle, honeybees, pygmy goats, alpacas and llamas, Peking ducks, rabbits, emus, and ostriches. Hopefully, you chose the right ones. Ostriches and emus, they're most profitable here in Tennessee. When we talk about exotics, we really mean which animals that can be kept as a livestock species, but they're non-traditional. You may be surprised to learn that in Tennessee, we have quite a few places where you can purchase exotic animals. Clarksville has a place where you can purchase reindeer, and we also have places for alpaca, and we've got our own Tennessee Association of Alpacas. We're number one in emu production, believe it or not, in the country. If you're like me and you're excited about exotics, there are a few things you should explore before you consider starting this endeavor. Do I have a realistic business plan? What is the initial investment range? How long before I see a return on my profit? Is there a local market for this product? What is the market like in Tennessee? How can I advertise? And lastly, but an important part, do I even like these animals? There are several places you can go to try out a business plan. I recommend Cornell University, bplans.com's B standing for business, and also there's AgPlan through the University of Minnesota. These are great options. Ostriches can be profitable here in Tennessee. It's important to note a few things though. They weigh between 220 and 350 pounds. They're very big birds. Males are larger than females, and males have black body feathers, white wings, and white tails. Females have gray-brown feathers. Ostriches are farmed mostly for their feathers. Soft feathers are good dusters and also decorative items. Ostrich meat and leather can be marketed, but it's important to note that here in the US, there is currently no market. They form groups with each male having 6 to 7 females, and egg incubation is done by taking turns between the females. Ostriches have 2 toes and speeds up to 40 miles per hour. You can imagine if they decide to leave, they'd be very difficult to catch. It's also important to note that the ostrich's eyes are larger than their brains. Their kick can kill a lion, and they don't have teeth, therefore, they swallow pebbles or gravel in order to mince up anything that they would swallow. So, you've decided on ostriches and you're ready to make some money. Kenneth and Judy Roberts of Rush Springs, Oklahoma do just that. They can sell pairs of breeding size adults for anywhere from $12,000 to $30,000 and depends on the age and the quality of the animal. Ostrich chicks go for about $1,000 a piece, and you can start selling them at 8 weeks of age because by that time you can determine their sex, and individuals pay for specific sex of the animals. Ostrich hens can lay as many as 50 eggs a year, but not all of them will be viable or hatch. Chicks are susceptible to nutritional problems and also pneumonia. So you're going to have to be careful about where they're kept. Currently, no U.S. ostriches are being eaten or skinned for their hides. Ostriches can live as long as 70 years, and they can produce plumes that long also. Now it's time to talk a little about emus. They're smaller than ostriches, weighing in at about 90 to 150 pounds. And in this uh, animal, females are larger than males. Deep brown feathers make it difficult to distinguish males from females, except during mating season. During that time, hens will have black head feathers with blue bare skin. Pretty easy to pick them out at this time. Emus pair for mating, but incubation and chick raising is done only by the males. How about that? Emus are extensively farmed for meat, oil, and leather. With more protein and less calories and sodium than other red meat, emus are similar in taste and texture to a lean beef. The oil is made from emu fat, and emus have 3 toes with speeds up to 30 miles per hour. Surprise! The #1 leading producer and seller of USDA inspected emu meat is located right here in Ashland City, and it's Amarillo Hills. The meats are sold to individuals and restaurants worldwide. Amarillo Hills is jointly owned by the Wynn family and the Winslow family. Amarillo Hills is an American Emu Association certified business member, and according to their website, their goal is simple. They want to produce products that are good for people. So just what kind of meat is emu meat? Well, that's kind of debated a bit. We're sure that emus are poultry, but when you look at the pH of their meat, it's similar to beef. Therefore, they're classified as red meat, even though they come from poultry. The texture and smell of emu is similar to that of beef, so I've been told. I've never had the opportunity to sample it, but when we gave cattle producers a taste of emu meat, they could not distinguish it from their own beef cattle. How exciting is that? Emu is recognized as a heart-healthy alternative red meat, and that's by the American Heart Association. And in a USDA-funded study comparing different meats, emu ranked best in 15 of 20 essential nutrients. This is important because, as you know, Americans are moving more and more toward healthy alternatives. So if you're considering emu, you might have a business that should succeed. How are emus processed? All Amarillo Hills farm birds are processed in this USDA inspected facility. The regulations ensure the highest food safety standards, and USDA regulations ensure that the animals are processed in a humane manner. All meat cuts are vacuum sealed and frozen to ensure freshness. And similar to beef, prior to butchering, the whole bird is dry aged to maximize flavor and tenderness. As you can imagine, ensuring that they are slaughtered in a humane way is going to be extremely important to Americans who might process these birds. That's a positive thing. I'm not going to spend much time on this slide, but I do want to note that when you compare ostrich meat to other meats, it's very high in nutrition. Ready to make money with emus? The biggest problem you may encounter is the emu's susceptibility to Eastern equine encephalitis. It can kill them within 24 hours. Emus are susceptible to West Nile virus, but most animals recover fairly quickly. Another problem is the fact that raccoons can carry a parasite called Baileys ascaris, and it can live the eggs within the soil for up to 10 years. According to farmers who have emus, the biggest seller is going to be emu oil. I've seen both of the varieties pictured here in Walmart, the actual liquid oil, and then there's a cream that's used for easing muscle pains. That's where your money's going to be. So this will give you an idea of what you would pay retail or in a store for emu meat. Emu jerky going for about $7.99 for the package that's pictured there. Emu flat fillet, and they also sell emu patties and emu ground. Once again, the biggest profit from emu at this point is going to be through emu oil. And 1 gallon of certified refined, $297. 5 gallon of the same, $1,475. There's some money in emu oil. Rabbits. Who doesn't love rabbits? They're a great meat source. They cost little to feed and they require minimal space. And they're just darn cute. A gestation is about a month, and litters of upwards of 6 are very common. Feed can be store-bought, or you can use extra veggies. They can graze. You can provide them grass clippings or even hay. One of the things that's important to note about rabbits is that they produce amazing fertilizer. You can raise them in hutches or free range. You can also raise them in something called rabbit colonies. The biggest problem is that they are prone to predators. So the main predator would be a dog or a cat, so your pets. Also, birds of prey have a tendency to swoop down and pick up rabbits. And then also, their number one predator is going to be humans. We tend to eat them. Poor bunnies. Ready to make some money? Rabbits are raised for their meat. They're also raised for laboratory use, breeding stock, and Angora wool. Also, your 4-H and your FFA typically use them for projects. Uh, Packing and transportation is something you have to consider because that usually is incurred by the person who raises them. You do need to consider that about 20 does can be serviced by $2, and we're just showing you some of the land, the total labor, and the capital that you would put out. I have eaten rabbit meat, pretty tasty. Peking ducks are easy to raise. They're a great source for meat and also large eggs. They've got bigger appetites than chickens, but they're also great foragers. They do a great job as garden helpers. They don't scratch the ground. They eat weak and rooted plants. They'll also pick bugs off of healthy plants. They're friendly animals and pretty reasonable to manage. Biggest threats, pets, birds of prey. Ready to make money? The Peking breed is the number one seller in the US. Typically, they're butchered at about 12 weeks, and you can cut your cost in half by using a free range option. There's several ways you can make money with ducks. You can sell fresh eggs. You can sell day-old chicks. You can sell adult ducks. You can also sell fertilized eggs, duck meat, feathers, and their manure. From a nutritional standpoint, duck eggs rate much higher than chicken eggs. They have a higher good fat content. They're higher in protein than chicken eggs. They contain more vitamins and minerals, and they're full of the positive omega-3 fatty acids. Alpacas. There are two different types of alpacas, Wakaya and Suri. They're also 100% pack animals, so you must keep them as a group. They weigh in at about 150 pounds, and they've got straight ears. Their fiber is almost as strong as silk, and it's highly durable. An important thing to note about their fiber is there's no pilling, and there are no allergic reactions to their fiber. Of all the animals used for their fleece, alpacas have the largest color range, about 22 different colors. Ready to make money? Of course you are. Alpaca fleece has been compared to cashmere. They live about 15 to 20 years, so make sure you choose wisely as far as your stock. You also need some important things to note, some of which we talked about in the beginning of this presentation. Where will you sell your fleece? How will you advertise it? And make sure you check the permits that are required to have them in your state. Alpacas produce about 6 to 9 pounds of fiber a year, and that's enough to get maybe 4 to 6 sweaters. Alpacas are extremely allergic to certain things: acorns, black walnuts, daffodils, elderberry, foxglove, hemlock, and several more plants. So you have to be very careful, again, where you're housing them. Yearly maintenance expense is anywhere from $150 to $250 a year. Llamas, as compared to alpacas, are independent animals, and they are often and should be kept separate from one another. They weigh about twice as much and even more than alpacas, and they're coming in at about 200 to 450 pounds. They've got curved or banana-shaped ears, but they're very good for packing. They produce a lot less fiber than alpacas, but they can be good guard animals for sheep and other small livestock. I'd like you to walk away with some wisdom. So here are some parting themes. Remember, exotic animals are a niche market, and you must find your profitable space. International individuals are more accustomed to meat diversity, so when you're considering selling different types of meat, make sure you have a market for it. Find successful individuals and talk to them, study them, copy them, emulate them. Utilize your extension staff at TSU or other state schools and agencies. Research, read, investigate, and evaluate. Above all, make sure you're going to advertise, 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 whatever your exotic animal is. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you great luck in your endeavors of exotic species.